To the State of the Saints podcast. Been a couple of weeks since we caught up with TJ, but it's game week. TJ, how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. It's a brand new season. Football that counts. I mean, don't get no better than this, man.
And look, I wanted to start there because I know and I talked about it earlier on, there's this like really divided section. I don't know, there's a bunch of different sides of the Saints fan base right now. There's people who are, kind of those classic all-in fans no matter what, still hoping, optimistic. There's this section that's really against DA and kind of, I feel like in a way rooting for them to fail. Same with Carr. Then you have this group of fans that's so excited about Spencer Rattler. Where are you on this season? Because it's been my opinion that as excited as I am about the future with maybe a guy like Rattler, this team still has an opportunity to win with the current construction of things. I don't think they're that far off when some people maybe think they are. Where are you on them?
Well, this is the way I feel about it. I think that all of these teams in the NFC South are pretty much on the same level right now. I think that you look at some of the changes that have been made around the South. I know some people are gravitating towards the Falcons because they got some guys with recognizable names. But look, man, names are one thing, but you got to go out there and play. And I don't think that the Saints are going to lay down for any team that they go up against. And I think that they have a really good chance of winning this division. I understand the morale is low because you don't have a rah-rah type coach in Dennis Allen. And, I think a lot of people expected a certain type of quarterback play from Derek Carr. But, I mean, you still have opportunity to win this division. You have a really good defense. It seems like they beefed up front. And you got a play caller in Clint Kubiak that's going to bring a different philosophy to get the ball out of Derek Carr's hand and make this offense be a little bit more effective. So I think that the Saints have a really good chance. I understand the hesitant nature of the Who Dat Nation, but I think that the Saints are going to be a formidable team in 2024.
And, along those lines, too, like I understand some of the reasons that a lot of people have soured on the Carr experience and the DA experience. But how much is it going to take, in your opinion? Because we know how passionate New Orleans is. Once you get on a roll, man, they will get behind you if they want to. How much is it going to take? Is it going to be a nice little start to the season? Is it going to take more than that? At what point do you think Who Dat Nation will buy in if this season starts to go well?
Well, I think you got to do something that you haven't done. Number one, you have to start fast. I mean, you got to go into the Superdome in this game versus Carolina. You got to hit the ground running because you're going to have some Saints fans that's going to walk into the Superdome ready to boot. And, so I think that they're going to have to start fast. They're going to have to do something offensively. And then also throughout the season, they're going to have to beat some teams that a lot of the onlookers don't expect them to beat. I mean, you got the next game, you got the Dallas Cowboys, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to have a statement win to let everyone know that this team is trending in the right direction. Yeah, the Saints went 9-8 last season, but a lot of people thought that was because of the strength of schedule and kind of the luck that they had not going up against starting quarterbacks week after week. So they're going to have to win some games that matter, and they're going to have to hit the ground running against Carolina. This is going to have to be a statement game to show that this is a new type of philosophy, and we're trending in the right direction.
We're talking with TJ Jones, State of the Saints podcast. TJ, one thing I've kind of been discussing here, and now that, we get an unofficial depth chart release that's got Penning at right tackle and Patrick at left guard, I felt like if Fuaga is as advertised, which is, look, we're asking a lot of a rookie to step in and be the unquestioned left tackle. I've thought if he's good enough, if he's as we think he is, you can help Penning, and I think Kubiak will be creative enough and, hopefully much more creative than the previous regime at offensive coordinator was to kind of help out and, avoid putting too much pressure on the right side of the offensive line. Do you think Fuaga's ready for that?
I think that he is. And, I know he's going to go through some growing pains that just comes with the territory of being a rookie. But you got to be optimistic about him because, several games took place. They barely even called his name. He didn't make too many mistakes. He showed, a little bit of, he's still a rookie to the fan base. But I think he'll be just fine. But this whole offense, this wide zone, is kind of designed to kind of, cover up for the imperfections of the offensive line. So I think that they're probably going to have some help for Trevor Penning. on the right side. And I think they're going to allow this rookie to go out there and go through the motions. But I think that he's going to be ready for it. I don't get any indication that the lights are going to be too bright for him. He feels like he feels that he belongs in the National Football League. And I like what I've seen out of him. I think he has the confidence, and I think he's one of those guys that you want to build your offensive line around. I think he's going to be a fan favorite for years to come.
Looking at the defensive side, I've had this feeling that this defense starting to remind me of some of the ones that were really, really good. And the numbers, I did a whole column on it last week. Like the numbers last year suggested that this defense was still upper echelon, even though I felt like the eye test didn't suggest that at times. But I love what Chase Young and Willie Gay did in the preseason. The secondary, outside of maybe one safety spot that's unsettled, feels like it's going to be really good. Where are you on this defense, and what do you think their ceiling is?
I think that this defense is going to be really, really good. Last season, they were ranked 28 in overall sacks. They only had 34 as a unit. And, the secondary was still one of the best. And now you add Chase Young, and you have Carl Granderson. You got him extended, and he had 8.5 sacks. You had Brian Brzee, who had 4.5 sacks. And now you have Cam Jordan that's moving from that defensive end, going to be playing mostly in the inside. That's going to be a NASCAR package. I think you look at the fact that Chase Young is hungry. He only signed that 1-year, $13 million deal. He's going to be looking for a much larger deal. And I look at Carl Granderson. I think that he is going to build on that 8.5 sack season. And then you look at the second level, Demario Davis. It doesn't get any better than that. You add Willie Gay from the Kansas City Chiefs, which I feel like that's going to pay dividends for the Saints. And the secondary, I just think that, honestly, they're the best secondary in the NFL. I mean, you can talk about the safeties, but they have so much depth at the cornerback position. I mean, you got Marshawn and Paulson, and then you have Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Taylor, and then you got Rico Payton, the young rookie who stepped up during preseason. So I think that this is going to be the unit that's going to carry this team. And the defense is a championship-style defense. It's up to this offense to be able to complement them. And I think if they do that, then the Saints can be a dangerous team.
The pass catchers has been another topic here. And we didn't see Shaheed in the preseason, and there's kind of this expectation that he's going to jump into this much bigger role this year as the number 2 guy. And I love him as a player, but I'm just hoping he is actually ready for that. We know Taysom's role is going to be different. That's going to be fun to see. What do you make of this group of pass catchers past Olave? Do you see enough? Do you think there is enough? Do maybe we get surprised? A guy like Cedric Wilson maybe steps up a little bit. Some of the tight ends. I don't know if – I feel like that's a spot that maybe they're going to end up struggling a little bit. What do you say?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's very top-heavy. I mean, when you look at Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, those are your 1s and 2s right there, right? After that, it's a huge drop-off. I mean, you could say Cedric Wilson, but I haven't seen much out of him, and every time I hear D.A. Dennis Allen, the head coach of the Saints, talk about him, it's mostly because of his blocking ability. Well, you're going to need to catch the ball, and you're going to need to be able to be, effective in the offense. I mean, they have A.T. Perry. I like what I see out of him. That everybody kind of talked about, is he, a good practice player? Is he a really good gamer? I think that, some guys are really good in practice, but when you go out there, when the lights are on, they go out there and perform at a high level, and A.T. Perry has done that. So I'm interested to see what A.T. Perry can do. And then you have Bud Means, who dealt with some injuries, but caught a few passes in the preseason, but I'm very concerned. If something was to happen to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed has been dealing with injuries leading up to the season, I'm wondering where the production is going to come from. It's only so much Alvin Kamara can do coming out of the backfield, and you also have Taysom Hill, a jack of all trades, but you're going to need somebody to be able to get the ball, and be able to make some plays, especially if this offense is designed to get the ball in the hands of playmakers in space. So if something was to happen to Shaheed and Olave, I think the Saints are going to be in serious trouble.
We're wrapping up our conversation with TJ Jones, the State of the Saints podcast, and we mainly talk to TJ about the Saints, but he also does cover Coastal Carolina football. And with the Cajuns not only being in the Sun Belt with them, but playing them this year, TJ, that Coastal team looked really good with a win over Jacksonville State. They put up 100 on them. Man, what was your reaction to that kind of statement win for Tim Beck's team?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I was very impressed at what I saw. I mean, when you look at Coastal, I mentioned the last time I spoke with you, 14 of the 19 members of the defensive line were new. So it was a question of how were they going to look against Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State made some improvements, but I mean, Coastal Carolina went out there and did their thing. You know, Ethan Vassell, he kind of started off. It seemed like he was a little bit nervous, but then he started to kind of settle in. The defense, they generated some turnovers. They were able to get into the backfield a couple of times. They had that fourth fumble for a touchdown. And then also with Coastal, man, they have a breakout star in Trey Taylor, man. He's a junior college transfer, but he has that speed, man, and he's electrifying. And I look around this team offensively. They can be dangerous. Like this 50 points, I don't think it's going to be the first time they score 50 points this season. And if this defensive front can play the way that they have, I think that they have a really good chance of winning the East and the Sun Belt. I mean, I was very impressed at what I saw from both sides of the football from Coastal Carolina.
TJ, really appreciate your time as always. We'll see what this Saints team looks like, and I know we'll catch up with you again pretty soon, but let's try to enjoy it, man. It should be fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much, D-Lo. Take care, man.